And I get like a nice little calf stretch, nice little hamstring stretch, because I'm leaning back, pulling her into my foot. You see how she's going past 90 degrees and then I pull her to 90? Yeah. Is that too much? Feels good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the muscle tapers. If I was going to put pressure like around your knee, but if I go up higher into bigger, broader muscle, a little easier to receive. I think that's essentially what we've got going on. So I'm only going to go about halfway, because if I go low, it's like I start to lose traction. It's like starts to shift where the hip is. What I am going to do is, you see how my toes are the outside? I'm going to turn them in so they're essentially right under the knee, right under the knee, and I'm going to let her leg roll open. Now what happens here, hopefully, is their shin is going to cross yours. Her foot is going to wrap behind. So I got this nice little handle here, right? You can see where my foot is. You can see her shin is crossing mine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift where my keister is, okay? Because I want to be able to press perpendicular into her hamstring, right in there. So this is what happened. I scooted my body over. I've got this big open section of real estate right here in the hamstring. I'm going to hold around the heel, and then this leg's going to do the work. How's that? Now, as I do this, I want you to notice I am pressing in the hamstrings, and you can switch hands, by the way. You see me do that? When I do this, do you see this leg moving? The clients think I'm just working on their hamstrings, but I'm mobilizing their pelvis, lengthening their adductors, mobilizing their hips, mobilizing their lumbar spine, because I'm working on their low back using the legs as a handle. You can see big, broad foot, big, broad foot in the hamstrings, big, broad foot in the hamstrings. This is easier to receive, right? Because I don't have full body weight leaning back. That's much more like robust, right? But after we've done that, then what we can do is we can take a heel. Now this is mean, so be gentle at first. It's like you're going to cut the hamstring in half, right along biceps femoris. So look at biceps femoris. Do you see the split on the right-hand side with semimembranosus, semitendinosus, like the blue and the red, where biceps femoris? Yep. So it's like you're splitting straight down the center, right along the hamstrings. You don't have to get so much worried about, is it semimembranosus, is it semitendinosus, is it biceps femoris? Everybody's position's going to be a little bit different. Their muscular development will be a little bit different. Is that too much, Kristen?
No.
Now, from here, do you see how? See? That's all I had to do. I was going to overwhelm Kristen. I did this. And she's like, stop, you're killing me. I'm dying. Why are you such a mean educator? I don't know, it's just been years of practice, just years of practice. So I back off a little bit. I'm going to switch hands.
Much better.
There we go. So when I'm using my heel, just like an elbow, guys, you know how somebody can use a broad elbow? Oh, that's good. But then they use that pointy ass elbow and you're like, hey. The same thing will happen with your heel. Is it a broad heel? This is broad. How's that?
Great.
Now how's the sharp?
Don't do it to me.
See?
I don't want it.
And all the shift, okay, I'm not going to do it. All the shift is big broad heel to that.
Yeah.
Look at this. Big broad heel to that. Look at how subtle. Big broad heel to that.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to back off. Big broad foot again. Big broad foot. Big broad foot. Big. I think mostly the teaching was just like a platform for stand-up because I wasn't a very good stand-up comedian, but you could like roll the jokes in with education and get away with it. I think that's what it was. That's what it was. So where I'm grabbing here, not too much?
No.
Okay. So from here to access her hips and her lumbar spine and her gluteals, I was teasing her before we went into session here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook my leg and I'm going to walk in. I'm going to walk her right into my holster. right in here. Because now I can mobilize her hip just using my hips. How's that?
Good.
Good. Now, if I want to isolate, because you're going to see this, you see how this leg comes along for the ride? If I want to isolate, what happens if I anchor here and then lean in?
Whee.
Are you dead?
Ay, not yet. Holy moly.
I'm not dead yet.
Ay.
I'm not dead yet.
Oh,
So, is it too much pressure on the hand,
no.
or is it the hips,
I mean.
or
yeah,
the combination?
it's- yeah.
Okay. So the reason I ask that, there's multiple things going on. I'm using her hips as a handle to get into there, mobilizing her sacrum, mobilizing her pelvis, mobilizing her lumbar spine, opening some of that up, getting into gluteal muscles, particularly gluteus maximus. Here in a minute, you'll see this. And I'm using that to mobilize through the lumbar spine. Affects all of these structures. It looks inordinately simple from the outside, but the way it feels, I think, can be vastly different. What's going to happen here is I'm going to take her out of my holster, and I'm going to bring her up and over into a big circle. Come around, big circle. How's that? Mm-hmm. So, if you're working with somebody like Kristen, and they're like, oh my God, can you be nice to me? Jeez, whew, I'm dying. What are you doing? Mobilization, back off of the compression. If they have chronic pain, typically you kind of go the other way. You're going to lean a little bit more towards compression, just generally speaking. So, I'm going to bring her up and over. Now, when I go knee to opposite shoulder, that's a big gluteal stretch. That's a big stretch to gluteus maximus, Sir Mix-a-Lot's favorite muscle. Come on up and over. Now, I'm going to anchor knee to opposite shoulder. Anchor knee to opposite shoulder, and then add the hamstring stretch. We compressed the hamstrings before, now we're lengthening them. Now, this is affecting her lumbar spine because of the way we're rolling her over. She likes this. She relaxed on me.
Yeah.
And then with the leg bent, I'm just going to roll her over, kind of a deep twist through the lumbar spine there. And then slowly help her unravel. Now I'm just going to switch legs. Quick leg sequence. That leg sequence is no different than what's an intro tie. The only move that's different is the one from the side at the beginning, that first one they show. So from here, again, I'm going to lift her leg up. I'm going to bring her to just past 90 degrees. She feels stiff on this side, especially compared to this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit my keister down, and generally speaking, ankle, knee, hip, and shoulder, one line. Leg is just going to be past 90 degrees. So I'm going to bring her just past 90, see if my leg is in the right position. If I wasn't close enough, I might have to scoot my keister forward. If I'm real tall and I got long legs, I might have to scoot it back. You're going to have to make little customizations based on the other person's body. So from here, I've got a good broad arch pressure into the hamstrings, and then slowly I'm going to get a grip here, and I'm going to lean back and pull her into me. Not too much, Kristen?
No, I can strangely handle it way better on this side.
And it may be sore on the other. So again, my leg is lengthened. I'm pulling her into my foot. I'm leaning back, pulling her into my foot. Leaning back, pulling her into my foot.
Oh, hello.
So, because from the outside, it's like, yeah, big deal. How's it feel? Holy moly. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's not really over until it's like gospel hour, until they're calling out to the good Lord. That's when the sessions get good. Right there. And I'm just going to go about halfway, just about 50%. You may be able to see it better from this angle. Just about half of the hamstring. Now, you can see my toes are facing out. I'm gonna put my toes kind of underneath the knee and let the leg roll open. I'm gonna have her shin cross mine. And our leg length works. If you have a little bit of a discrepancy and you have to do something like this, totally fine. You see how she's resting in my hand? Totally fine if you got to do this. But if they can go like that, that's usually a little bit better. Now, when I've done this, I'm a little bit at an angle. My angle would be like I'm kind of pressing sideways to the line. I want to scoot my keister out just a little bit because I want to press perpendicular, a T. That's the most oomph with the least amount of effort.